People's Democratic Party PDP President Mehbooba Mufti from Jammu and Kashmir has condemned Pakistan's use of force against peaceful demonstrators and called for a humane and dialogue-based approach to resolving the crisis. Welcome to the show. Let's begin with the heart-wrenching images from Spain's North African territory of Ceuta.
Well, authorities now estimate that over 60,000 migrants crossed from Morocco in the last 24 hours via land and sea. But before we even continue, take a look at this.
¡Viva España! ¡Adiós! ¡Adiós! Con la concertina por la espalda.
Now, the death toll has risen to 34 people. Most of the deaths were due to drowning while trying to reach the territory. This, remember, comes after Spain's Supreme Court had ruled this month that migrants stopped at sea while trying to reach Ceuta or Melilla, another Spanish exclave, cannot be summarily returned to Morocco.
The astonishing estimation by Spanish officials suggests the number of migrants who entered into Ceuta in the last day or so could be more than half of the population of the city, which sits at around 83,600, and that's according to the latest local figures.
In fact, Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has reacted, and this is what he claims. Listen in.
En segundo lugar, definir lo que ha sucedido en el día de ayer como un ataque.
We define what happened yesterday as an attack, a violation of Spain's territorial integrity. Ceuta is a Spanish city, and what happened yesterday deserves our strongest possible rebuke and condemnation. We reject, condemn, and regard as deplorable the violation and attack on the territorial integrity of a Spanish city, namely the city of Ceuta.
Y el ataque a la integridad territorial de una ciudad española como es la ciudad de Ceuta. No quiero olvidarme por
Ceuta, on Morocco's northern coast, is separated from mainland Spain by the Strait of Gibraltar and has long been a focal point for migrants attempting to reach Europe, coveted by Morocco. Both cities have long been a flashpoint in diplomatic relations with Spain. Madrid asserts that both territories are integral parts of Spain and have the same status as the semi-autonomous regions on its mainland.
Many of those crossing the border from Morocco have been young, mainly men, although there are also women and children in the crowds and even babies. Usually, to try to enter Ceuta, migrants swim several kilometers from further up the coast. This time, they appear to have been able to get close to the border fence itself with ease. It's not clear, though, where the Moroccan border guards were at this point and why the groups of migrants were not dispersed or stopped. So, Eric, that has been, a point of concern as far as these illegal immigrants entering that border is concerned. But, of course, also raising questions whether this has been a natural, organic crowd or it has been a geostrategic move by one of the countries, one of the neighbors.
And most of these countries that are in Europe, including Italy, including the United Kingdom, and also Finland and Belgium, they have all reacted to that.
That's right. And one of the reactions that has come in is from UK's Prime Minister Andy Burnham. Take a listen to what he said.
I mean, obviously, that's a matter for the Spanish government first and foremost. But it is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities, to provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni was very quick to comment on events in Ceuta, calling the images from there shocking and writing on social media that such uncontrolled immigration was a security threat to Europe.
In fact, she said that Italy would consider suspending the Schengen zone agreement with Spain on free movement, although it's unclear what that means in practice, given that the two countries are not really neighbors and undocumented migrants are unlikely to board the flights.
Well, the Schengen area is a system of open borders spanning 29 European countries that have officially abolished controls at their common borders. The foreign ministers of both Spain and Italy had a brief spat.
The Spanish foreign minister said that such remarks were improper for a partner and friendly country from which we expect European solidarity. He also summoned the Italian ambassador to Madrid.
Well, this is cautious issues because most people have reacted to this, including the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who says that this is an issue that he wants to avoid happening in the United States for the next 5 years. And he says if that is not controlled, then we will see what is happening in Spain in the next 5 years.
Yeah, so he's essentially, pushed forward his Republican promise to the Americans, so one of the promises that he won the election on, and that is to stop illegal immigration. And that is something that Donald Trump has now cited, taking the example of this latest incident of illegal immigration, that if they don't control their borders, that is exactly what will happen in the United States of America. But remember, Eric, for our viewers to understand this geopolitical impact and the geostrategic impact of this, many are now questioning whether it's the United States and Donald Trump that have pushed these illegal immigrants into the Spanish border, considering the fact that Donald Trump has been having his own rift with Pedro Sanchez.
And actually about the brief with Pedro Sanchez, we all know what the United States President Donald Trump thinks about Pedro Sanchez and the Prime Minister. So we'll see how this ends up and goes on.
That's right. And we have our guest joining us on Race to Power tonight. Let me go across to Miss Anne Elizabeth Mutet. She's a columnist, the London Telegraph. She's joining us live on the broadcast from Paris. Good evening and welcome to Beyond. Anne, I want to start by asking you what you really think of it. These images have been concerning. They've gone viral on social media. And one of the things that people are now asking is whether this is a natural, organic flow of illegal immigrants after the Spanish Supreme Court's ruling, or is it a geostrategic move by one of the countries, whether it's Morocco or the United States or both?
It's both. It's both because there's always been a lure of Europe, which is seen as a richer continent, a continent where you get lots of aids from the government. Once you've got there, they don't let you to starve, they don't let you go ill, and therefore it's supposed to be a land of plenty, and there are lots of people in the southern in the global south who would like to move to Europe. But at the same time, and Europe has a report of human rights, but at the same time, this is being weaponized by various countries, and they all have their own reasons. If you take a country like Morocco, Morocco is in a state of sort of armed truce with Spain because they don't like they've had a bad relationship with Spain since the 1920s and the Spanish Rift War in Morocco. They also have policy disputes, and especially with the current government. And Morocco is a country that's actually well run with a police force, and you can be sure that if suddenly all these people are sort of let to go into Ceuta and then go try for Spain, they've been at the least allowed to go there. And that's also an illustration of what the crisis feels like from the Moroccan side, because they don't like having all these people crossing their own country to get into Spain. And they say, why should we be the only ones to have to bear the brunt of it?
Ms. Motet, you're talking to Eric now. There's this issue that Italy has raised, that the Italian Prime Minister actually has raised. She says that Spain should be removed from the Schengen zone. Your quick reaction to that statement, because Spain has also reacted. They've summoned the ambassador to Madrid.
Well, Spain has been saying almost immediately that they would give shelter to all the migrants. And what this means, we know very well what this means. In 2015, out of humanity, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel said that all the refugees from Syria would come. And that led to the biggest migration crisis in the history of post-war Europe. I would say that that's also there's a feeling, and there's a feeling from Italy, which is the other European country that is not too difficult to reach from the southern coast of the Mediterranean, that this is fanning the flames of mass immigration. And because the government of Pedro Sanchez is hardline socialist, there's a feeling that they are contradicting decisions that have been hard to get to in Brussels and going against an action of measuring chosen immigration that was spearheaded, among other people, by the Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni.
Miss Anne Elizabeth Mottet, it's good to see you. Thank you very much for talking to us today on Race to Power.